protect yourself.
Oh, yeah.
So I said, okay, let's go.
We do have an offer today to get one of these books for free or two. If so, for callers in, what's the number? 416?
204-9723.
All right, call in, get your copies.
So
Carry
just
on.
to finish my story, the first woman called in. She said, she's so frustrated with her husband. He doesn't show leadership, doesn't make any decisions. So the host says, so I guess you agree with Elliot. Says, I agree with him completely. Okay, that's 1 for you, 0 for me. Next person, calls in. She says, I don't know what you guys are talking about. All the men in my family are strong. What's with these men? So the host says, well, I guess you agree with Elliot. She says, yeah. I said, well, that's 2 for you, 0 for him. The next one called, then she agreed with me also. So then it was 3-0. He stopped keeping score. We had time for 5 women. They all agreed with me, and he was kind of shocked.
Wow.
That's
amazing. So you got to prove your point.
Well, it sort of reflects a lot of the response I've been getting to the book. I kind of thought, women would be, men. First I give the book to men. I said, read it. Don't show it to your wives. Just do it. You'll see there'll be a big difference. So what happens? Women are the biggest fans of the book. They're all telling me, how do I get my husband to read it? And the men are like they're so entrenched in this way of like, oh, be sensitive, don't make any decisions, that they're just stuck. They don't realize that this is not what women want.
So, Elliot, how did you become an authority on what women want and what provoked you to write the book?
Well, it was my own journey because I was married and then I got divorced, and like a lot of people, I blamed the other person. And it was really my own journey of learning, talking to people, talking to women, reading what in previous generations fathers used to teach younger men about what it means to be a man. And they coincided with what I heard women complain of is lacking in men today. They don't show leadership. They don't make decisions. They don't take responsibility. I couldn't count the number of single women who have said to me, when they go on a date for a cup of coffee, the guy can't even decide where to go for a cup of coffee.
Oh,
he
yeah,
wants her to decide.
Yeah.
And then when they finally get to a place, he won't even choose a table to sit at. He wants her to choose everything. Very frustrating. And
That's not women want.
You know what else is really frustrating? When
Go
they
ahead.
don't treat you like a lady.
That's it.
Don't pay the bill for a cup of coffee. That's a big no-no.
I tell guys, forget about all these new ideas you've been told. Just go back to, pick up the woman, ask her out, have a plan, be a man with a plan. When you ask a woman, be a man with a plan. Pick her up, open the car door, take her to a place that you can afford to pay for both of you.
That's
it really
right.
makes a big hit. And then, drive her home.
That's right. I think that's a good point, too, because a lot of guys think, and you can step in at any time, a lot of guys think that in order to impress a girl, they have to take her to, this very expensive restaurant. And I disagree with that because, especially on a first date, you don't need to be like that show-off-ish. You just need to be, like you say, a man that treats the woman right. That's it. That's all you have to do. That's how you score your brownie points.
Well, there's no point taking her to a fancy, expensive restaurant if that's not within your ability to pay. Then you'll resent it. It's
and you'll probably act very uncomfortable and nervous.
Yeah, you want to show yourself. Like, what kind of places do you like to go to? If you go to reasonably priced restaurants, take her, because that's showing what you are showing. You're showing her about yourself.
And since the book came out, and women have been reading it, men have been reading it, what testimonials or stories have you gotten back about how this book has been an improvement to their relationship?
Right. A lot of men have told me that I've had divorced men tell me if they had read this book while they were married, they'd probably still be married. I had divorced women say the same thing about men. They said if my husband had understood the principles in this book, our marriage would not have disintegrated. I've had single women say that when a man calls them up, asks them out, she's going to say, read the book first, then call me. I've had one married woman say to me, I'm going to give the book to my husband and tell him to read it. It's a fast read, takes about an hour to read, and then I'll be waiting for him in the bedroom in my negligee.
That's
what
good.
chapter is that?
Yeah.
So you got to read the whole book.
Didn't I send you a summary? Yeah.
Actually, I've read the book already.
Yeah, it's very good. It's a good book.
Thank you.
And I really like the part where and at the beginning, I guess it goes to that. As you said, you did the research about what in the old days, what the older generations would teach their kids. And I believe, in the story, it's the grandfather and
the grandfather teaching his grandson
on the walk up the mountain.
Right, on a walk up a mountain, and the idea is to show that the grandfather is part of that teaching, and almost like it missed a generation. Like the grandson didn't learn it from his father, so he went to his grandfather to learn these insights.
So what happened, Elliot? Like, what happened in our culture that this wisdom was forgotten?
It's an amazing thing when you think all over the world, like the book is being sold in countries where you think all the men are macho, like Japan and Italy and Brazil, right?
Yeah.
So it seems like this whole generation, a lot of boys were raised in families where there were no father, there's divorce, or their fathers worked long hours, and then they went to school, and most of the teachers were women, and they really weren't exposed to a strong male role model. A lot of people like to blame, this is what the feminists were saying. They told men, excuse me, be sensitive, and that's partly true. But the real question that I ask is, why did men accept that? Why didn't men say, no, this isn't the way to be a man? Because I think men were just so confused. They just sort of latched onto anything. Be sensitive, develop your feminine side, and they're doing their best to develop their feminine side and can't understand why it's not working. And they really didn't learn these insights that traditionally fathers and other older male role models used to teach younger men.
So I have a couple of questions. Okay, the first one is, when men of the past did follow this, there's an argument that, were they really happier in their marriages, or did they just pretend to be happier because divorce was so frowned upon, people just stayed together?
Well, nothing makes a perfect marriage, but, there's no perfect marriages, but I think, it's sort of like the pendulum has swung. We were so talking about men are controlling all this stuff, but really the pendulum has swung so far that men don't make any decisions. I have women say to me they feel like, married women say that they feel like single mothers because, they have a husband, but, the husband's oblivious. There's a problem, he seems oblivious. He won't step forward and take charge, and that's what she wants. She wants a man to be the man of the house. She doesn't want someone who's controlling her.
I think what they want, though, is and I think that's an important part.
She doesn't want someone who's controlling, but she doesn't want someone who's totally oblivious, who can't make any decisions.
That's correct.
And just leaves everything to her. And yet, I've heard lots of men say, smart, professional guys, the home is a woman's domain. I let her make the decision. And they think they're being the nicest, sensitive, non-controlling guys, and they can't understand why their wives are so frustrated. And when I talk to them about these ideas, men will say to me, well, gee, no one's ever told me this before. I didn't realize this.
Because I think what ultimately, maybe, and you can step in on this, is that whether you're a woman or whether you're a man, when you're in a relationship with someone, whether it's marriage or living together, whatever, you want an equal partner that pulls their weight and shares in many aspects. And that includes decision making. Nobody wants to feel like they have to make all the choices alone, or like they're married to a person which it seems in effect another child.
Right. You know what I say? It's like they're being a nanny. Like a lot of men will say, but I do so much at home. I wash the dishes, I change the diapers, I give the kids baths, I read them stories, I do all these things. I say, but you know what's the difference between you and a nanny? Like the nanny does all those things too. But
exactly.
Your job as a father is leadership. You have to know what's going on. You have to see what situations need to be dealt with. Step forward and find solutions and implement them. That's what a leader does.
Now, Elliot, it's there's one of the realities today, which was very different than things were maybe 50 years ago, is that in a lot of homes, the woman is the principal breadwinner. And they may have kids, right? But she's got that role now. So she's got the breadwinner role, and she's still having to deal with all the home stuff. But often a guy I guess my question is, can a guy, because there are guys that are like the house husband that are looking after the kids. I've got a friend in this situation. He's a great guy. Can even though those roles are kind of reversed, can that man still be the strong man that a woman wants?
That's a great question.
Absolutely. Really, money doesn't determine who's the leader of the home. I mean, there's situations where men are very wealthy, but when they come home, the woman rules the roost. So money doesn't give you the power in the home. And power isn't really the right word. It's leadership. It's who steps forward and shows that leadership. If you're oblivious, if you see problems and you think, well, go see your mother. Your mother will take care of that. Mm-hmm. Then what are you? You're like a nanny. You're just a helper. You're not the leader of the father that's supposed to be.
So give us some tips or examples of how a man can take leadership without seemingly be, too chauvinistic or domineering or controlling.
Okay, well, first thing, let's say a guy's in a marriage or relationship and the woman's been making all the decisions. So he wants to show leadership. First thing, what you don't do is if your wife is making all the decisions, you don't start saying, if she makes a decision, you don't say, oh, I'm going to show I'm the leader. We're not doing that. We're going to do the complete opposite.